Are you guys hearing me now? I'm not sure what's happening. Let me know if you're hearing me now. Oh, you're hearing me now? Oh my god. I was like, what the hell is happening? Just a second. Okay. Oh, child. I am not good now. Okay, thank you guys so much. I am not sure what just happened just now. So my bad, guys. But I'm glad it's sorted out now. So what I was saying was, okay, thank you so much, loud and clear. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, guys. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. I'll just start over again. Thanking my sponsor, G5 Cybersecurity, for making this show possible, and for believing in what we're doing over here. Because, guys, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I realized I was told that the content that we're producing on Digital Jamaica is actually being used in classrooms, especially for students who are studying digital media, the Cape Digital Media Unit. And I'm exceptionally proud. I'm exceptionally proud of that. And it takes a lot. A lot of work goes into researching. God, it's hot. Is it me, or has the place been so hot? Jesus. So a lot of work goes into researching and putting this thing together. So I'm grateful for Gavin and G5 Cybersecurity for sponsoring Digital Jamaica. So, guys, let's jump right in and let's talk about AI. Now, for AI has been around for a very long time. Like many technology we use today, AI was developed decades ago. And the very first lecture that was given on AI was by British mathematician. British mathematician. That's what happens when you talk too fast. British mathematician Alan Turing became famous from that movie. Famous mathematician. Back in 1947, he gave a public lecture on machines that can learn from experience. And in my mind, that sounds like generative AI. And because it can learn from experience, that machine can alter its own instructions, which means it can evolve on its own. It's not sentient, but it can evolve on its own. And this really is the basis of artificial intelligence, or AI. 10 years later, a gentleman by the name of John McCarthy, who's an American scientist, he's the one who's being credited with coining the term artificial intelligence, and he held a conference about it back in 1957. So this is decades and decades old technology, but what is new, guys, is the level of access we commoners, we non-sciencey, non-math people have to this kind of technology, this very powerful kind of technology. And thanks to social media, because we're going to blame social media, because why not? AI is now cool. It's trendy. It is popular. And so, to satisfy this increased consumer demand for artificial intelligence based products, tools, etc., what I like to call AI mania, because everywhere you turn these days, everybody's talking about AI, 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 AI. Um, AI labs have been flooding the market, the open market, with even more powerful software and tools. Like every iteration that comes out is even more powerful. Have you guys read about ChatGPT 4, like the paid version of it? It's insane what this thing can do. And so what could possibly go wrong, right? Putting this kind of powerful technology into the hands of stupid people like everyday regular people like us, who have no perception or conceptualization of how powerful this thing actually is, or who don't care about the consequences of using these tools, or misusing these tools, or who intentionally use this tool for this kind of outcome to cause chaos. What could possibly go wrong with all of that? And one of the scariest thing about all of this, guys, is that these tools are so powerful that even the labs who create these tools can't understand, predict, or reliably control them. That's what's happening with these tools. These tools are literally, as Alan Turing said in 1947, these tools can alter their own instructions and evolve. So for the most part, humans, we use the tool as they're intended to be used for the most part, to enhance productivity, lessen your work burden, improve quality of life, because that's what technology is supposed to be about. That's what AI is about, right? But like with everything else, when you put humans together with technology, they're going to be bad actors. They're bad actors in every sphere of life, right? People who just want to do terrible shit, right? Um, and so that means scamming is going to happen, misuse is going to happen, and these tools are going to be used for nefarious activities. And that's what we are talking about today: how AI tools are being used to scam, defraud, misinform, disinform, and just cause chaos generally. So let's start with the small things that can build up to big things that can cause havoc, because we think these things are just harmless fun, they're just cute things, but it could be that this kind of activity is being used to test the waters to see how far they can go before government steps in, regulation steps in, etc. So let me share my screen to show you what I'm talking about. Believe it or not, when it comes to AI generated, let's talk about AI generated images, right? The most popular person or public figure when it comes to AI generated images is who? I bet you can't guess is who. Let me share my screen. It's this fella right here. Oh, am I being locked out? Oh Lord, I'm being locked out. It's the Pope. um So I found this New York Times article. You only get one free article. Oops. So this New York Times article talked about one of the Pope being one of the most one of the public figure that most people use as a source for AI generated images. And I'm getting tongue tied here, right? Why is that? But the real question is not why is it that the Pope is the most popular AI generated image. The question is why not the Pope, right? Because when it comes to public figures, in our minds, sometimes it will seem as if they're a world apart from us in our everyday existence, everyday life. So there is this irreverence, if you will, that causes or amusement of seeing a larger than life figure, the Pope, right, brought down to earth, as we would say, right? The very embodiment of holy, doing everyday regular things like the rest of us do, the everyday mundane things, is fascinating to people. And that is why the Pope, you'll see the Pope in the parka jacket or in a biker jacket, fixing an automobile, riding on the back of a what we call a Roomba bike, right? um and to people, what this really does is it makes them more relatable. So we know it's fake, we know the images are, well, some of us know it's fake, some of us don't really know it's fake, and we'll talk about that later. It's about making these public figures more accessible or relatable, right? But in the same breath, AI generated images can be used to express our displeasure at a public figure. And who right now would you say is the most disliked public figure out there? Just take one guess. Of course, it's Donald Trump, right? I mean, right? So this AI image of Donald Trump being arrested went viral on Twitter, but of course, it's not real. This is a fake image, right? But the reason why it went viral is because it was a source of satisfaction for a lot of people. A lot of people want to see somebody like Donald Trump get his comeuppance, right? We don't like him. He's a terrible divisive figure, my opinion, right? And seeing something like this, even though again we may know that it is not real, it gives us some kind of sense of pleasure because we've always wanted to see people that we feel are as terrible and as divisive as Donald Trump get put in their place, right? And so this is a feel good kind of thing, and it's a way of expressing our displeasure at this person. And we're going to talk about this later. We're talking about how AI is being used to sway public opinion and can go even so far as causing civil unrest, but more about that later. Let's move from AI generated images to AI generated video. So it starts off nice and it's fun, it's cute, an image of the Pope fixing a bike, Donald Trump being arrested, yay, good for him. But this also feeds into the whole voyeuristic nature of social media, right? And I'll show you what I'm talking about. How about an AI generated video of your favorite celebrity, right? And there is this TikTok page that has amassed over 9 million followers, and it's AI generated Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but it's generated Keanu Reeves, and it's actually called Unreal Keanu, right? And it clearly says here it's a parody account based on AI technology, and pretty much what is happening is that the account shows this big famous superstar doing everyday mundane regular things, right? And the everyday things that we regular human beings do, and that is why it is so appealing to people. Even though it's not real, it literally says it's not real. Fans of the star feel as if they're getting a behind the scenes kind of glimpse into the day-to-day life of this person, even though it's not real, right? And if you look at some of the comments, this guy says people think this is real and it scares the shit out of me. People say, oh, you could be twins, don't know how you do it, I love it though, right? And even when people know it is real, they can still relate to it, and it's like a proxy of the person, and it makes you feel like have more access to the person. And this kind of cognitive dissonance, as I said before, plays perfectly into the voyeuristic nature of social media, where we're heavily invested in the lives of other people, and sometimes as a way of blocking out what's happening in our own lives. Is like a respite for what's happening in our own lives. But the problem, it gets to be a problem when people start to think it is real. Because if you should go through and look at some of the comments, look at this: you brighten my day. And if is it really him? Oh my god, that's so me. People, some people know it's real, some people don't, and that's a whole other conversation about digital literacy. But it's escapism in a way, right? But the problem starts when people begin to think that this is real. And sometimes, guys, it is so obvious that this is not the real Keanu. But people are sometimes unable to discern between these real people and these AI generated clones, because that's what it is, clones of these real people. And so, where the shit starts hitting the fan is because, as much as I talk about digital literacy in Jamaica and how we need to bridge digital gap, but it's not only a Jamaica problem. Digital literacy is a problem everywhere, because I don't know why people would think some of these things are real. Some of them are so obviously fake, right? But humans are gullible. We are gullible people. And there's a perfect storm of gullibility mixed with digital illiteracy, and that creates the perfect scenario for scammers to come in and take advantage of people. And I want you guys to listen to this. So there's this new there's this new technology, there's this new type of scam, sorry, called AI voice phishing. And what it does is AI uses your voice to generate um use your voice to generate audio that sounds like you, and they're using it to scam people. And I want you guys to watch this, because this can get very scary. Listen to this.
I pick up the phone and I hear my daughter's voice and it says, Mom, and she's sobbing. And I was, what happened? And she's like, Mom, I messed up. And she's sobbing and crying. And then I hear a man's voice say, put your head back, lie down. And then I'm like, wait, what's going on? And this man gets on the phone and he's like, listen here, I've got your daughter. This is how it's going to go down. You call the police, you call anybody. I'm going to pop her stomach so full of drugs, I'm going to have my way with her and I'll drop her off in Mexico. And at that moment, I just start shaking. I'm like, what? In the background, she's going, help me, Mom, please help me, and bawling.
And you have absolutely no doubt in your mind that that was her voice.
Oh, 100% her voice. 100% her voice.
So, guys, all it takes is 30 seconds of a 30-second sample of your voice for scammers to be able to use that sample to generate or clone your voice. And it is so easy. With some of these tools are free to use, and some of these tools are like so dirt cheap, right? And it is causing chaos. Why? Because people actually believe it. You heard the lady just know. You couldn't tell her, said that wasn't her child. You couldn't tell her that that wasn't her child calling her to say, I've been kidnapped and I'm in distress and I need your help. And what these scammers do is they use it to get money out of you. Like, listen to, here's another example of scammer using AI to clone your voice and trying to scam people out of money. Listen to this one.
So I look like an emotional wreck right now because I've been crying for the past 2 hours because I thought my little brother was dead. Somebody out there used an AI machine to trick my grandpa into thinking my little brother got in a wreck and died. He mimicked my brother's voice and said, "Oh, I'm about to get in a wreck," and then the phone went off. And so my grandpa called me and told me this, and I immediately thought my brother was dead. I started driving, trying to find his location. He wasn't picking up. And I come to find out that it was a scammer that was trying to get money from my grandpa by calling and saying that he went to jail and he killed someone and he needed bail money. All for money. He acted like my little brother almost died. If you guys ever get called and it's someone asking for money that you know, they're using a freaking AI machine to reenact their voice.
So this is a real threat, guys. I don't think I have to tell you that. And this, the scary part about it is that it is so convincing. And you might see it because you're on the internet all the time, and you might be thinking, oh, how is it that people don't know that this is not real? Because you don't interact with this kind of thing on an everyday basis. And the first thing you think of when you hear a voice of a voice message like that, the phone rings, you pick it up, and it sounds like a family member, a loved one in distress. You're not thinking, oh, this is AI. And you don't even want to take the chance, because what if it's actually real? How do you determine whether it's real or not real? And within that moment, that's not where your brain goes. Your brain goes to, this is my family member, this is my loved one, I want to help them, I am going to do whatever I need to do to help them. And these scammers depend on, they feed off of that love and that affection that you have for your family, your friends, and your loved one, and they use it against you. And AI is being used to help them do that, because this very same scam is being used over and over and over and over again. Now, this type of software is not only being developed by, little no name labs. Microsoft developed this software that they call Valley, a couple years ago. And even Microsoft said that, listen, there's potential risk in misuse, such as spoofing voice identification, right? And scamming people. Here's the article that I found about it. See, may carry potential risky misuse such as spoofing voice identification or impersonating a specific speaker. So labs, big labs that have all this money to put into research and development have been creating these kinds of tools. So other labs are who are now competing are also creating these kinds of tools, and it is so easy to get a sample of your voice from online. Somebody like me who does a live stream every week, if you've ever created any kind of post and post to social media, they can take it from social media and use it to create a clone of your voice and scam your loved ones, right? And I can't even say, oh, guys, be careful, what you say on the internet, because it doesn't matter what you say. It could be as I said, a 30-second clip of you saying anything, and they can change it and turn that into something scary, something very scary. But it goes a little bit deeper than that, right? And this is when people now is starting to listen, and pay real attention. And it's always when big industry gets hit by these kinds of scams that people are now, and by people I mean people in power with the ability to actually bring about any kind of change or regulations or anything like that. Now that the music industry is being affected by AI voice cloning and scams around that, all of a sudden now there's this call for regulation, and there's a slew of lawsuits that have come out over the last couple of weeks, for people who are using the voice of artists like Drake, Weeknd, Rihanna, Ariana Grande to make music that they're then streaming on Spotify and making money off those streams, right? So there's this thing. Let's go back a little. So there's this thing called mashup art or mashup music, and that's when you take music from two different artists and you mash them together to make it sound as if it's some kind of collab that these two artists are doing. And one of the most popular ones, because this one actually went viral on TikTok, was the mashup between Adele and Megan Thee Stallion, right?
Adele does Megan Thee Stallion's Water Under the Bridge choreo during one of her shows. I'm E Patty, let's get into it. Now, I'm sure you all remember, but for those who don't, it all started when someone tweeted out, how come Adele never has any backup dancers? In which someone replied with this video. If you're gonna let me down gently, don't pretend that you don't want me. Our love ain't water under the bridge. The meme got so big, it made its way over to TikTok, where people were doing Megan Thee Stallion's choreography to Water Under the Bridge. Well, Adele was recently doing a show in Hyde Park, and during her set of Water Under the Bridge, she's seen doing Megan Thee Stallion's choreography.
So that video made the rounds on TikTok, on other social media platforms, and it went super viral. So that's what we call mashup music, and it's a way to it's an appreciation for these two artists. You can say that. So you're showing appreciation for the art and the artist, and it's overt. You're not trying to deceive people, because people can see clearly that it's two videos that you've mashed together. And of course you can also make money on it, because this video went viral on YouTube, and of course the person made you can get revenue from something like that happening. But then AI gets involved and it becomes a lot less conspicuous, and it becomes something entirely different, and that could lead to copyright infringement. Maybe, because the law is unclear about that. But let's talk about that. So there's this mashup artist on TikTok. It's a kid. It's a child, okay? And it's called Jared. His page is called Jared Sucks. He has like 48,000 followers on TikTok, and he makes these AI. This is this guy here. He makes these AI. He uses AI to clone the voices of popular music artists, and he makes these mashups with the AI clone voices, and he posts them to his social media. Now, the one between Drake and The Weeknd, this one.
Fuck it, let's go boba.
I pray milk with my ex, like to lean, not a flash, ayy. Bumping Justin Bieber, but I fever, ain't left.
It went absolutely viral. Well, that was a version with Kanye, but there's a version with The Weeknd, the original version with The Weeknd, which I think is this one.
I never fuck Wayne, I never.
Oh, sorry, language. Went absolutely viral, right? Went absolutely viral on the internet, and he just kept producing a lot more of these AI generated songs on his platforms that have become viral. Well, some of these songs actually ended up on Spotify, not necessarily from this creator, but the same things are happening. Other creators are using these AI clone voices of these popular artists to create these kind of mashups and put them on Spotify without Spotify actually realizing that that was happening, and these people were making money from these enormous amount of streams. Because again, if you don't know that this is actually not your favorite artist making a song and collaborating with somebody else that you love, you're going to go and you're going to stream because this is fire. You're thinking, oh, new music. It's not new music, it's an AI generated clone. And the issue with this is that AI can produce music faster than an artist. AI can put together artists that you would never imagine would come together to do a collaboration, but that you've always wanted to come together to do a collaboration. And it is an audience driven thing. If, say, for instance, now everybody wants Rihanna to release an album. People have been asking Rihanna to release an album for how many years now? And she has not released new music, right? What if you can bypass Rihanna altogether and create your own music using Rihanna's voice? Now you see how much money they can, as a person doing that can stand to make from using a clone of Rihanna's voice to create an entire album or to create new music. Because even though the fans may know that this is not really Rihanna, they just want new music. Okay, and if it sounds like Rihanna, I'm gonna bop with it, right? And that is what has been happening. Now, this particular track with Drake has caused some kind of a lot of controversy, because Drake came out and is like, I don't particularly like this. Please stop doing this. Especially because fans are now going, okay, well, this sounds really good. It might even sound better than the original Drake. And now Drake and his entire livelihood as a music artist and the entire music industry is being threatened by AI technology, because again, AI can produce the music a lot faster, that's one, a lot cleaner, and because it can bypass all the processes that goes into making music, like, you know, getting signed off on copyrights, getting permission and all of that kind of stuff, and even the mixing and the beats and all of that, it can do that in seconds, right? And so this is where the threat comes into your artistic expression, let's just say. And it's not just big artists like Drake that's being affected. On my stories over on Instagram, I posted a story from TechCrunch that was talking about how artists, the American Writers Guild, they're now locked in a series of protests because these studios are not willing to guarantee that they won't use AI to write show scripts, which can effectively put writers out of work. And of course, a couple episodes ago on Digital Jamaica Live, I did a segment about whether AI art is going to replace real art. And the artists on that show expressed real concerns about that happening. It's an existential crisis if you're an artist, where now this tool can literally replace me and literally box food out of my mouth, as Jamaicans would say, right? So now that this is becoming a thing, as I said, a lot of artists are taking the creators of these kinds of technology to court. They're going to court to say, hey, this is serious copyright infringement. What are y'all going to do about it? And the court is like, actually, we're not sure. We're not sure because this is the thing. technology moves faster than the justice system. Technology moves faster than the law. And so there is now this consideration that the courts have to make about whether this kind of technology is actually copyright infringements, right? And why it is not as straightforward is because of the source material, and whether, because there is a conversation to be had about who owns the data that the AI is being trained on. Is it copyright for AI to then take my data, which it didn't ask for my permission to do, and use my data to generate these kinds of things on there? That's the conversation, right? And this article went into the same Chavez, Jared Chavez guy, that kid on TikTok who was generating it. Here it says original songs using voice cloning aren't copying anything concretely protected by law, and that's also another problem. So the source material is one problem, but what if I am just cloning your cadence, your tone, or the other unique things about your voice, putting that together and then creating my own music and using that as the vessel for putting my own music out there? Well, there's nothing in the law that prevents anybody from doing that, and that is a major problem, right? So it says heart on my sleeve is exactly the kind of thing UMG wants streaming platforms to crack down on, saying AI companies are violating copyright law by training their models on artist song, right? And that's the same argument being put forward in other creative industries like art, right? Saying Stability AI lawfully copied, so there's this lawsuit, copied and processed millions of images protected by copyright when it trained its AI systems. And online publishers are also heading down that path, saying they should be compensated for their content that is used to train chatbots. Now think of this. This is some inception level shit, because if you really think about it, you're putting your work out there, right? And by putting your work out there, because this is how you make money, by putting songs and putting your art out there, you are inevitably feeding the machine that is going to replace you. That's the existential crisis that we're in. But you never asked for any of this. You're just going about your business, right? Trying to make money, trying to earn money. And that's the dichotomy of all of this. And that's why the law is confused as to, okay, so who is doing what and how do we prevent this thing from happening? Because then we can get into a whole conversation about whether it is right to restrict or censor AI. And we're gonna get to that later. And in some ways, you can even think about this from, say you are a no-name artist. In a way, in a very small way, you can see how somebody like that will think, well, this is leveling the playing field, because there's so many advantages of being a top artist. You're Drake, you're out there, everybody knows you are, and everything within the music industry, all the workings behind the industry come together to push you out there to make sure that you're successful. If you are a top artist, or if you're an artist that a label, let's say, wants to push out there, they're going to put everything that they have behind you as an artist. But you have other artists that get less behind, and there's a plethora of stories of these one-hit wonder songs, or these artists who didn't get the same push within the label as other artists, and now they're going, well, hell, if I can use AI to get my song out there, gets on a platform like TikTok where it becomes a trending sound, I can make money from this. And that's one way you can think of it as leveling the playing field. But on the flip side to that isn't that like boosting mediocre talent? Because if you don't have the talent to organically, because let's be real, none of this is organic. Virality on social media is not organic. Viral songs are not organic. There's a machinery behind the scenes making these songs viral. But if it is that you are not as talented, but you're using these kinds of tools to push your music, get your music out there, is it leveling the playing field, or is it boosting mediocre talent? That's a whole other conversation that we can have. But you have other artists who are embracing it. So there's this war going on. Drake is planning to sue, the weekend is planning to sue, there are lots of copyright, and I'll be interested to see how this actually plays out in the court, because imagine a 60-year-old judge who have no idea what the hell is going on with all of this, having to decide whether or not AI just cloning my cadence, my voice, not my words or the words to my song, but just cloning my voice and using my voice to generate new work, new original work. It could be a situation where that new original work is what is actually protected under copyright law and not your voice. And that's weird and crazy, right? Anyways, moving on. So there are some artists who are taking advantage of it, and talk about mediocre talent. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Let me not be rude. Let me not be rude to Grimes, whose real claim to fame is that she was married to Elon Musk. But we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. It's not that kind of show. Anyway, so you have artists like Grimes who are like, listen, if you're gonna use my voice anyway, nobody was using her voice. But if you're gonna use my voice anywhere, or if you want to use my voice, wink wink, here's how you can do it, and we can both make money. So Grimes is like, here what? Take my voice, use my voice, and give me 50%. You happy, I'm happy, fans are happy, we're all happy, right? And I think that's a novel approach, I suppose. But again, it's a way for smaller, less known artists to make some money too, right? So Grimes' manager, let's say Leonard, because I can't pronounce her first name, explain their thinking and goes deep on how artificial intelligence may reshape music. And he said, and they talk about the episode. Fundamentally, Leonard says Grimes sees music as a gift to be shared. Oh, altruistic, not hoarded. She often says that creativity is a conversation with those who came before us and those who are going to come after us. So profound. And so the idea is that instead of her attempting to control what is a gift from the universe, she's like, well, let me open source that. Let me allow people to access what the universe gave me as a gift. And if I do that, what are the new experiences that can be created from that? Now, listen, I'm sure she means this. I'm sure. Okay. But really, what she's saying is, listen, I'm going to open source my voice. Y'all can take it and do whatever you want with it. Of course, within certain parameters, because then we can also talk about how people can take your voice and clone your voice for something completely horrible and disgusting, and that is outside of your own personal values and morals. And we're going to talk about that when it comes to AI porn. Right. But what she's saying is, use it and just give me some of the money. Why not? Why not? And it's another revenue generating income stream for her. So she wins, you win, we all win, I guess, if you like Grimes that kind of way. And I can't even tell you one song she sings, but moving on. But so some artists are embracing it, but there is this legal conundrum as to whether it is legal and whether the protection is with the person who owns the voice. Can you own a voice, owns the voice, or the person who is using your cadence to generate sound to original work, which is very outrightly protected under copyright. But it can get much worse. So our artists are over there in a tizzy, got their knickers in a bunch because people are using their voices to make new songs and make money off of that. Okay, cool. Let's go back to that 1 minute, because you see, this is why I said there's so many layers to this conversation, because artists complaining that people are using their voice or their sound to make music is interesting to me, because we've seen in recent years where artists on social media have been using social media trends in their music to make music or to push their music. And isn't that somebody else's intellectual property that you are borrowing from to make your music more relevant and popular amongst a certain audience and demographic? So it goes both ways, does it not? But I digress. That was just a random thought that came up, but that's something to think about. If you're on social media, you're going to borrow from other people and trends that other people create on social media and put that into your music, your art form or whatever. Why can't I borrow your voice to make music? You making money from me, I can make money from you too, no? That's a conversation. That's a conversation. But it can get much worse, guys. So outside of, creating voice clones of people, it can get to the it gets to the point where it's not just voice, it's entire videos of people that AI can generate. And this is what we call deep fake. A deep fake has been around for a while. So yeah, artists can stand to lose money, but what happens when it's politics and government? Because an AI deepfake or an AI clone of a public figure saying or doing something that can cause public upheaval and that can lead to war is a lot more scary than Drake's voice being cloned. I'm sorry, Drake. Whatever. That's a lot more scary to me. I want you to watch this video. Okay? This is a video of the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
The sign is a subtle joke. The shop is called Snow.
Let me back it up so you can hear it. Listen to this.
The sign is a subtle joke. The shop is called Sneed's Feed and Seed, where feed and seed both end in the sound eed, thus rhyming with the name of the owner, Sneed. The sign says that the shop was formerly Chuck's, implying that the two words beginning with F and S would have ended with uck, rhyming with Chuck. So when Chuck owned the shop, it would have been called Chuck's Fucking Suck.
No, guys, this was done in jest. This was Joe Biden explaining the name of this the store Sneed Feed, right? And it was done in jest. It was done out of fun, and of course to make Joe Biden look crazy, because there's this thing going around that he doesn't have all his faculties there because he's old, right? Ageism. So this was done in an effort to, it's supposed to be out of fun, and again going from harmless fun to this could be something else, like testing the waters for where this could possibly go. And so that was lowbrow, sure, but haha, funny, let's kiki about it. But then look at this other video, and now you can see where the testing the water, oh, it's harmless fun, gets a lot more serious. So this is a purported video of Biden, an AI generated deep fake video of Biden talking about homosexuals.
You will never be a real woman. You have no womb, you have no ovaries, you have no egg. You will never be a real woman. You have no womb, you have no ovaries, you have no eggs. You're a homosexual man twisted by drugs and surgery into a crude mockery of nature's perfection. All the validation you get is two-faced and half-hearted. Behind your back, people mock you. Your parents are disgusted and ashamed of you. Your friends laugh at your ghoulish appearance behind closed doors.
Okay, that was intense, right? But I want you to look at the caption. Look at the caption. Would homosexuals listen and reform? Look at the comments. He has decided to follow Donald Trump and African leaders. Of course, people are in it saying this is fake, guys. Let's not proliferate fake, this kind of harmful rhetoric that's generated by a fake, that is generated by AI. But then you have people in the comment, and this is where the folly of humans come in. Again, we will know it's fake, but because it fits within our agenda, because it is saying things that we wish we could say out loud, and because it is mirroring how we feel about something, we're gonna push it, even though we know it's harmful, but it matches and it conforms to my political agenda. So I'm gonna push it. This guy knows. The Honorable George Peter Kaluma, and who is this guy? He is a member of parliament in Kenya, no less, is going to reshare this kind of video pushing a certain harmful narrative to a certain marginalized group of people, even though he knows it's fake. But the consequences of action like this reverberates far beyond Kenya. It is you using a AI deepfake of the president of one of the most powerful countries in the world to send out a message like this. Do you know how much political upheaval this could cause if people actually think this is real and people actually thought it was real? So that is where I'm saying this is when the AI technology becomes subversive, or it can be used for more subversive means, right? And it's not just that, because in this instance, if you are savvy, you can tell that it's fake. You can see the mouth movements, and so it's fake. And these AI deepfakes usually tend to not be as crystal clear and high def, right? And that's another way you can tell that it is not real. But people who have an agenda, who live in echo chambers, are going to take it as real, because it is mirroring sentiments that they already embody, right? But on the state level, this is concerning, because apart from the obvious, it can be weaponized to sow political discourse, confuse voters, cause riots, or worse, incite an insurrection. And this is why people will use this for misinformation slash disinformation campaigns, like this one put on by the RNC, who is in a constant battle with Democrats over gun rights, right? Let's look at this video, that this AI generated video that they created. It's a public, what do you call it? It's a campaign video, you want to call it? Before we go there, I want to show you this. Before I go there, let me show you something, because I want to show you how perfectly well AI can mimic a voice. I want you to watch this video. Watch this.
A few drops of dementia here and there, but I'm sharper than a steel blade and vibrant enough to outsmart the best tech geniuses around. Look, I was the one who helped pass Obamacare and the assault weapons ban, and I'm not going to let anyone question my intelligence or clarity of judgment.
That's incredible. What we saw there was entirely fabricated, Hamish, and yet it rang true for many people. How hard is it to do this sort of deepfake video?
Look, just quickly, thank you for having me on. And in terms of that video, it's not only that it's just a deep fake, it is a real-time deep fake that is responding to a question.
So the broader
So in real time, right, this AI generated deep fake can respond to questions being asked of it. I'm sorry. If that's not scary, I don't know what is. And then again, it sounds so much like the real thing. And as the anchor says just now, people are gonna take it as real, because it hits a lot of these talking points that is already out there, again, about Joe Biden and his cognitive ability, and whether he's sharp and whether he's too old and all of that kind of stuff. If you have already bought into that, this kind of thing only serves to bolster, or confirm your bias, right? And that is why it can be scary, and in the hands of the wrong people can cause real harm. Again, going back to the RNC, who created this campaign video of Biden. Just look at this. Right, just look at this.
This just in, we can now call the 2024 presidential race for Joe Biden.
This morning, an emboldened China invades Taiwan.
Financial markets are in free fall as 500 regional banks have shuttered their doors.
Border agents were overrun by a surge of 80,000 illegals yesterday evening.
Officials closed the city of San Francisco this morning, citing the escalating crime and fentanyl crisis.
Who's in charge here? It feels like the train is coming off the tracks.
So the Republican National Committee created that video of Joe Biden. It's a campaign video that they created using AI. It's an AI deepfake video of Joe Biden, and every scenario that they put forward in that video is fake. None of those headlines were real. None of those situations were real. They are predicting what will happen if Joe Biden gets reelected in the next election. And why are they doing this? Of course, they're using it to sow fear and mistrust from people who are already in the mindset that the world is going to hell, everything is chaos, and it's all because of them liberals. It's all because of them Democrats taking away our rights, right? And so if you are already of that mindset, this kind of video is going to scare the hell out of you. And they are depending on that to happen so that they can win the election. And that is why I'm saying misinformation and disinformation campaigns emboldened because of AI technology in the hands of being presented to people who are already not right thinking people. I mean, these are people who listen to this kind of thing already think that they're a lizard people. QAnon anyone. Okay, so they're already off. Okay, it doesn't take a lot to get them over the edge. And we might think, oh, it's just a handful of people. A handful of people that caused an insurrection the other day. Anybody remember January 6th? They stormed the Capitol. It's these same kinds of people who are going to buy into things like this, and that is where it can get really, 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 really messy. Imagine a UN conference of leaders coming together to have a conversation, and somebody uses AI technology to do a deep fake of them saying, we're going to bomb Italy tomorrow. Imagine the kind of political upheaval that could cause and the reverberations across the entire globe. This is dangerous. On a personal level, though, it's the same thing where you're using these deep fake and these clones to cause upheaval, but you're doing it to someone personally. And it can be in the form of blackmail, cyberbullying, or worse, as a form of revenge porn. Now, revenge porn is illegal, and revenge porn is, say for instance, we were in a relationship and we may have recorded ourselves doing the hanky panky, or I may have sent you pictures of me in various states of undress, let's just say naked pictures, okay? And we break up and you decide that to get back at me, you're going to post those images to the internet. That's revenge porn, and it is illegal. But what if you don't know this person? You've never met this person. You've never spoken to this person. You have no idea who this person is. And all of a sudden, there's a video of you on the internet performing pornographic acts, and everybody's messaging you like, girl, what's happening? What's going on? That's exactly what happened to this young lady. And I want you to listen to this.
I don't even know how to describe what's been happening to me for the past 48 hours. 2 days ago, someone sent me a message request on Instagram from a faceless account. No followers, no posts, nothing. And it was pictures of me that I had posted, fully clothed, completely clothed. And they had put them through some editing AI program to edit me naked. They basically photoshopped me naked. And it's already weird to make that on your own time, but it's even weirder to send it to me.
So this person that she does not know took images of her where she's fully clothed, doing nothing out of the way, and you ran it through an AI tool and what that tool did was recreated these images of her in the nude, and then tried to blackmail her by sending these to her and try to extort her with these kinds of images. And this is the most sinister part of this, guys. These sorts of deep fake images and deep fake videos are predominantly used to target women. Pornographic deep fakes have been used frequently to humiliate, abuse, extort, blackmail women. And it's also a part of cyber bullying, and it is getting even more so prolific, and it's ruining people's lives. And now the UK is putting a ban on these kinds of revenge porn or deep fake pornographic images, and because it is so accessible to people, you can literally go online, use your Visa, MasterCard, right, and access images of people. When I tell you that some of these images can be of me walking down the road going about my business, and next thing you know, I'm appearing on a porn site absolutely naked doing things that I was not doing, right? And it is now becoming a multi-million dollar images. Digital edited pornographic videos featuring the faces of hundreds of unconsenting women are attracting tens of millions of visitors on website, one of which can be found at the top of a Google search results. Now, remember back in the day when you used to see all of these videos coming out of these artists. There's this video of who was it, Kim Kardashian and Ray J. You know, the sex video. It's like that, but these are not real. These are unconsenting women being their image and their likeness being taken and used to generate these fake videos, these fake pornographic videos. And so now Visa, MasterCard, and the company behind these credit cards are banning the use of these credit cards on certain platforms where these kinds of things are taking place. They're taking a stand to say, hey, we're not going to allow you to abuse people using our kind of systems. But so there are a lot of other ways that you can pay for it. There are wallets that you can use. A lot of these people use cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, etc., to perpetrate these kinds of scams and extortionate activities. And so, of course, it's the most vulnerable, and usually it's the most vulnerable groups who are the target of this. So if it's not women, it's children. If it's not children, it's the elderly, and that is why it is so concerning. But let's wrap up by talking about accountability. Who do we hold accountable? Who is to be held accountable when things like this happen, right? In a post I did a couple months ago on LinkedIn, right? This is what I said. I find it ludicrous when a company develops a new thing, like a piece of technology that they know has the ability to be destructive. They research and beta test use cases, they perfect the technology, and then make this thing publicly available, and then act shocked, right, when it's used for nefarious purposes. Sure, the outcome is undeniable, but it is foreseeable, right? Sorry, undesirable, but it is foreseeable. And you can argue that these companies can argue that, oh, this is not what we intended this technology to be used for, and that can give you some level of plausible deniability. But you can also make the argument that the technology itself is being used as intended, because what is the purpose of a piece of technology that can clone your voice? It's to clone voices. So yeah, the technology is being used exactly the way it is meant to be used. It is just being weaponized, and that's the difference, right? So I gave the example of Dexter of Dee Dee in Dexter's Lab. Any of you who watch that cartoon knows about Dee Dee in Dexter's Lab. Dee Dee keeps finding ways to access Dexter's Lab. And Dexter's Lab, who's supposed to be this super kid genius, can't find a way to prevent Dee Dee from getting in the lab. I think there's something right with that one, right? Because Every time Dee gets into the lab, she presses button and do shit she's not supposed to do and cause problems. And it's the same thing. Every time you allow this kind of technology, you allow access to this kind of knowledge, technology, you can't just say, hey Dee, don't touch that button, because you guys know Dee always, oh, what does this button do, that kind of thing. And you can tell her a million times, don't touch that button. There's nothing preventing her from touch that button. It's not going to be a preventive sufficient measure. So when Microsoft comes out and say, oh well, we understand the risk and we're telling people not to use it for those reasons, like, who are you kidding? Who are you? Of course you want people to use it, because people using it is how you test it to see if it actually works the way it is intended to work. You're not fooling nobody. You're not fooling anybody, right? And so when these platforms, in my opinion, should be held accountable. So there's this lab called 11 Labs, and this is another example of a lab fully and completely understanding that what they're doing is dangerous. And even going as far as to say, yes, guys, it's dangerous and we're warning you against using it, but not pulling the technology itself. And their response is what I find interesting. So here it is. 11 Labs, thank you to everyone for trying out our beta platform. While we see our tech being overwhelmingly applied to positive use, let me see if I can get in there, right? We also see an increasing number of voice cloning misuse cases, and we want to reach out to the Twitter community for thoughts and feedback. Really? You want my thoughts and feedback? Okay. They can trace it back. They know who's using it. They know which account is using the clones, right? And they can implement additional safeguards, which means that these safeguards should have or could have been available in the first place. And so they're throwing these ideas out there because they want to seem as if we have some kind of input in this thing, when what they're really doing, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So these are some of their ideas. Additional account verifications to enable voice cloning, such as payment info or even full ID verification. Verifying copyright to the voice by submitting sample with prompted text. Drop voice lab altogether and manually verify each cloning request. Now, why is it that the very first thing they're suggesting is putting this behind a paywall? And this is where my skepticism kicks into high gear, because in my mind, this was always what y'all wanted to do. This is marketing. You like that people are using your technology for nefarious means. You know why? Because then you can use this to justify putting the technology behind a paywall, where, because that won't prevent people from using it. What it will do now is only limit access to who can use it. So if you have the money to pay for it, you can use it. So it's no more exclusive scamming, right? Because that's how it came across to me. Because listen to this. This is their response to the feedback that they wanted to get. Thank you, everyone, for your advice. We love that you're creating, but a set of actors use our tech for malicious purposes. And so here's what we decided to do. So here they're admitting that they have always had the ability to trace any audio clips. So again, they know who's using it. And they're going to now go a step further and release a tool which lets anyone verify whether a particular sample was generated using their technology. Here, this is the part that I find interesting. Secondly, almost all the malicious content was generated for free by anonymous accounts. Now, anonymous accounts that they could have always gone back and made not anonymous, because remember, they said that they have the power to put in more verifications in place for these people who are creating the accounts. But no. They're not going to do that. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to make you pay for it. Now, it is only going to be available on paid tiers. So, yeah, okay, we're going to put in a little more stuff to make it, more verifiable, your account more verifiable. But yeah, the biggest thing is you're just going to have to pay for it now. That's the response to people using this thing to scam other people out of hundreds and thousands of dollars. Yeah, I'm just gonna make it exclusive now. So now you can't, me and you regular people can't access it. That's a response. Okay. And so this is why I say a lot of these labs, they know exactly what it is that they're doing. They may not intend, they may not, I think that it is not that they don't care. I think it is that they're indifferent to the consequences of these tools because they're making money from it and they're using it as for research purposes, right? But believe it or not, there are arguments against regulations or censorship of AI. And there's this article from The Hill, because Chuck Schumer has proposed some regulations, and people are saying that it's going to stifle innovation and dampen free expression, right? So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has proposed artificial intelligence regulations that would control how AI is created and the decision it makes. Now, I don't know how Chuck Schumer is going to regulate the decisions AI make, because not even the creators of the AI can regulate the decisions that the AI make. It's that powerful. These tools are that powerful, okay? So the proposed guardrails will provide answers to key questions such as who, where, when, and how, while aiming to protect Americans. It also requires companies to allow a review of their AI software before it is released to the public, right? And the goal of this is to align with systems of American values. We can have a whole lot of conversation about what that means, because different strokes for different folks. It says, unfortunately, his proposal undermines some of the values he claims to protect, because it threatens to limit programmers' freedom of expression during and after development of the process, and it goes beyond typical regulations imposed by federal authorities on commercial decisions and other areas of control. And this is why I think this article is full of shit, right? And I'm going to tell you plain why I think it's full of shit. The article is saying that it impedes or it stops or puts a limit on freedom of expression, which it does not extend to other federally regulated industries or federal regulations on how businesses make decisions. Now, remember, these are the same people who talk about it's a capitalist society and they want freedoms to make their own decision. These are the trickle-down economics kind of people, right? So if you allow big business to do what they want to do and don't regulate them, then they're going to employ more people and more people are going to get jobs. But then at the same time, they don't want to regulate these other industries, but they're going to use the fact that these industries that they don't want to regulate and they're fighting against regulation for, they're going to use the fact of non-regulation to say, well, if you're not going to regulate those, you can't regulate these. What? What? As well, we're not talking about gas emissions here. We're talking about deep faking the president of the United States of America, saying some divisive shit and putting that out on the internet with crazy internet people. This is something complete. This is a whole different animal that we're talking about here. And this is why I hate American discourse. I hate American political discourse, because it is so disingenuous most of the times, right? Because it's like they try to compare two things that are not comparable. These two things are not the same. This is not how any of this works, right? And so they use that as a way of strawmanning the argument against regulation, using the argument they use against regulation in the first place, which is why the thing isn't really regulated. And this is why I absolutely hate American discourse, which is why I prefer, well, not prefer, which is why when I'm looking at policies around technology, etc., I go across the pond to the to the EU, right? Because they don't play. They don't play about certain things when it comes to regulations. And so the EU is putting together or is implementing an artificial intelligence act, a piece of law that regulates how artificial intelligence is created, how it is used, research development, all of that. So the European Union is considering far-reaching legislation on artificial intelligence. And what I've noticed, guys, is the EU is always at the forefront of regulations and policies around technology. Not necessarily the US, but the EU. And the proposed Artificial Intelligence Act would classify AI systems by risk and mandate various development and user requirements. All right. Now, this is something that they've not yet passed, but they're debating it. And trust and believe something is going to come out of this. Just like how we had the GDPR, they're gonna clamp down on this wickedly because, as I said, vulnerable groups of people are usually the targets of this thing, right? It says AI has been around for decades but has reached new capacities fueled by computing power. And this is the EU commissioner, and she said, the Artificial Intelligence Acts aim to strengthen Europe's position as a global hub of excellence in AI from the lab to the market to ensure that AI in Europe respects our values and rules and harness the potential of AI for industrial use. Now, this mimics the Asilomar, I think that's what it's called. The Asilomar AI governance principles. And what the Asilomar AI governance principles intend to do is it's a set of 23 principles that should act as a guide on how beneficial AI, so AI that is used to the benefit of humankind based on values and principles and values and morals and all of that kind of stuff, is supposed to be researched, developed, and used, right? Now, these principles was developed all the way back in 2017, right? And basically, and they're developed by a group called the Future of Life Institute, who recently put out an open letter to labs telling them or asking them to halt the production of AI tools for at least 6 months so we can like reevaluate what's going on, assess the situation, and then proceed more cautiously, if you will, right? So there are three main tenets of the Asilomar principles, right? And these tenets are, why am I? Hold on, let me. So the main tenets of the Asilomar, there are three main tenets. It's the research, ethics and values, and long-term issues, right? So under research, it talks about the goal of AI research being to create not undirected intelligence, but beneficial artificial intelligence. And basically, not undirected means being controlled by humans, being controlled by the creator, and not giving this system the power to change its own instructions, as we said earlier, right? That's one. The second principle under research is race avoidance. And it says teams developing AI systems should actively cooperate to avoid cutting corners on safety standards and regulations because you're trying to get your product out into the market. This is what we were talking about with 11 Labs. They knew full well what was going to happen. They have the ability to control what was going to happen, and they did not. And in my mind, that was a marketing ploy. That was a marketing ploy to get people to pay for this. But I'm skeptical, and I'm forever skeptical, I guess, right? So let me see. Okay, here we go. This is the Asilomar principles, guys. So yeah, if research issues, and we spoke about two. Under ethics and values, section 9 of this is what stands out to me under ethics and values in the Asilomar AI governance principles, because section 9 talks about responsibility. Who is responsible? It says designers and builders of advanced AI systems are stakeholders in the moral implications of their use, misuse, and actions, with a responsibility and opportunity to shape those implications. And it goes further to say, if we go down to 13, liberty and privacy. The application of AI to personal data must not unreasonably curtail people's real or perceived liberty. So what the Asilomar principles on AI is saying is that, one, if you are creating AI systems, you are responsible and accountable for how these systems operate, the moral implications of the use as well as the misuse of the systems that you are creating, right? And it should not impinge or infringe on my right to privacy, on human values, as it states here in 11. AI systems should not be designed and operated so as to be it says AI systems should be designed and operated so as to be compatible with ideals of human dignity, rights, freedoms, and cultural diversity. Let me not get started about AI bias. Let me not get started on AI bias and how AI can actually be detrimental to Black and brown people, because apparently AI can do everything but differentiate between two Black people. Yeah, it can do everything else except tell my face different from your face. Because are all Black people the same? Yeah. Inherent biases being put into these systems because of what? The persons who are creating these systems and who they're creating these systems for, and who those persons look like. And as I said in the video on Instagram, it is not me and it is not you. Okay? And so what I want you to understand, out of all of the things that we've said here today, what I want you to understand is that all of the problems that we're having with AI scamming and fraud and all the chaos that AI is causing, it's not the AI is the problem. The problem is not AI. The problem is humans. That's the real cause of all this problem. It's humans, because we can't really blame a computer system for what is happening in the world, right? It's just code. We are the ones who train the computer system, we train the robot, we train the software, which is why our inherent biases get, becomes a part of this. It's us. We are the problem. We are the people who take technology and weaponize technology against each other. So yeah, AI powered scams, it's people who are using AI, weaponizing AI and the immense and vast and absolutely incredible capacity and powers of AI to screw each other. And that's the conversation. We are using these tools to screw each other. And so the real problem is not the technology. The real problem is us. And so do I think that AI should be regulated? Yes, I think AI should be regulated, as I think a lot of other technologies should be regulated, but not regulated to the point where it becomes not useful to us, but regulated to the point where we have certain guidelines in place, like the Asilomar principles, that guides how the technology is developed, what it is developed for, how it is to be used, and what does that mean for future generations, because it's not just about us, it's about future generations. And so when the Future of Life Institute put out this open letter, and I see a lot of open letters, about technology going out now, because people are scared. There's a piece in the news recently about one of the persons who is kind of responsible for AI becoming this powerful, who used to work at Google, quitting Google just so he can come and talk about how powerful AI tools are, because he couldn't say that while he was at Google, and that's a problem. It's a problem when you can't say while you're in the company, employed to the company, hey guys, listen, I don't think this is where we should be going, right? So he had to quit to come out and say the things that he wanted to say publicly. So they penned an open letter, and what it is saying is that AI systems with human competitive intelligence can pose profound risk, as we have seen, right? Advanced AI could represent a profound change in the history of life on Earth, and should be planned for and managed with commensurate care and resources. So nobody's saying don't create AI technology, don't advance, improve technology, AI technology, but are we going to create technology so powerful that it becomes an existential threat to all human beings? That is what we are talking about, right? And the human beings that are most vulnerable are us, the regular everyday people who don't have a clue what's happening with all this. We didn't ask for none of this, right? And it talks about contemporary AI systems now becoming human competitive, which goes back to the Writers Guild of America complaining that these studios are refusing to put restrictions in place on how tools like ChatGPT can be used to create scripts. And what does that mean for writers and writers' compensation, which has been an ongoing issue from before AI, right? And so it says we must ask ourselves, should we let machines flood our information channels with propaganda, like that video by the RNC about Joe Biden's 2024 elections, the prediction, right? And untruths, like taking a video or a photo of a woman who's just going about her business and turning it into porn, right? Should we automate away all the jobs, including the fulfilling ones? Should we develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and replace us? Now, okay, so this is a tad bit, it's a tad bit exaggerated. It's a tad bit exaggerated. But if you see what's happening in the space, you can understand, because these things are no longer stuff of science fiction. It's a very real possibility that these are things that could happen, right? Should we risk the loss of control of our civilization? So as hyperbolic as this is, it's not far out, it's not far-fetched, it's not so far out that this isn't actually something that we should be really thinking about, that could cause a real and proper threat to us, because we're already seeing where AI is replacing jobs. The legal world is at risk. BPO is at risk. Just about every industry is at risk, right? And so, guys, yeah, this is what we're contending with right now. As technology proliferates, so does we humans tend to always find new and innovative and creative means of fucking ourselves. Excuse my French. And now we're using AI technology to accelerate how much we screw ourselves and how quicker we can screw ourselves. And so, yes, I believe that regulations are necessary. So, guys, that's my thoughts on what has been going on with AI technology and the world that we're living in now, and how AI is impacting the world that we're living in now. It's an amazing tool, sure, but it also can be an amazingly destructive tool, and that's some scary shit. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in today to another Digital Jamaica Live. Thank you guys for pointing out the sound issues, because I would never know that I wasn't you guys weren't hearing me, and I would have been here talking for an hour and a half and you guys were not hearing. So appreciate you again. Shout out to my sponsor, G5 Cybersecurity, for sponsoring the show. And until next time, guys, let me know what you think about anything I've said here. Comment, follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're all over the place. But go to our Instagram page specifically. That's after you subscribe to Digital Jamaica on YouTube. Go over to our Instagram page and let me know what you thought, what your thoughts on some of the things I've said here today. Where do you where's your thought process on some of these things? Let me know. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.